My golden child sister sued me for our grandfather's estate. Then the trustee walked in and froze the court. I'm sitting in a courtroom, listening to a judge read my sister's lawsuit out loud, and the words don't even sound real. The petitioner claims the respondent manipulated the deceased through undue influence, isolation, and emotional exploitation. The respondent: that's me. The deceased: that's my grandfather. And the petitioner: that's my sister Renata, sitting 3 rows ahead with our parents flanking her like bodyguards. She doesn't look at me. Hasn't looked at me once since we walked in. But I can see the back of her head, perfectly styled as always, and I can see my mother's hand resting on her shoulder. Unified. Aligned. Certain. The judge continues reading. The petitioner requests immediate emergency control of the estate, citing the respondent's unfitness to manage family assets. Unfitness. That word is now part of my legal record. My father shifts in his seat. He still won't look at me either. I feel like I'm watching this happen to someone else. Like I'm floating above my own body, observing a stranger get destroyed in real time. The judge finally looks up. Does the respondent wish to object to this petition? Every head in the courtroom turns toward me. I should probably explain how I got here. My grandfather, Arthur Brennan, died 4 months ago. He was 81, sharp until the very end, the kind of man who still balanced his own checkbook and refused to let anyone else handle his affairs. I loved him, genuinely loved him. Renata loved what he represented. There's a difference. Growing up, Renata was the golden child, straight A's, captain of the debate team, full scholarship to a top university. She looked good in family photos. She said the right things at dinners. She knew how to perform. I was the problem child. Not because I got in trouble, I didn't. But because I asked questions, I pushed back. I didn't smile on command. And in our family, that made me difficult. When I was 16, my mother sat me down and said, "You need to stop being so sensitive. People are going to think you're unstable." I wasn't unstable. I was just honest. But honesty doesn't photograph well. So Renata became the favorite, and I became the one they tolerated. Arthur saw through it. He never said it directly, but I knew. He'd roll his eyes when Renata launched into one of her rehearsed stories at family dinners. He'd change the subject when my father bragged about her promotions. And when I graduated college, a year late because I'd switched majors twice, he was the only one who said, "I'm proud of you for figuring out what you actually wanted." Not finally or eventually, just proud. After my grandmother died, I started visiting him more. Not because I wanted anything, just because he was alone, and I knew what that felt like. I'd bring groceries, we'd watch old westerns. Sometimes we'd sit in silence for an hour, and it didn't feel awkward. Renata visited too, but her visits were scheduled. Announced. She'd bring flowers and stay exactly 90 minutes. Arthur noticed. "Your sister treats me like a client," he said once. I didn't argue. When Arthur got sick, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, everything shifted. Renata suddenly started visiting more. So did my parents. They wanted to be there for him, but I'd been there for him for 3 years. And now that there was an estate to think about, suddenly everyone cared. Arthur's house alone was worth over $1 million. Paid off, prime location. Then there were the accounts, the investments, the savings bonds he'd been collecting since the 1970s. It added up, and my family started circling. 2 months before Arthur died, Renata sat me down at a coffee shop. "We need to talk about Grandpa's care," she said. "Okay. I think he should move into a facility, somewhere with full-time staff." "He doesn't want that," I said. "We've talked about it. He wants to stay in his house." "That's not realistic," Renata said. "He needs professional care." "He has professional care. He has a nurse who comes 3 times a week. He has me." She gave me a look. The look. The one that said I was being difficult again. "You're not a medical professional," she said. "Neither are you. But I'm thinking about what's best for him." "So am I." She leaned back, arms crossed. "I've talked to Mom and Dad. We all agree. He should be in a facility. You talked to Mom and Dad, but not to me. I'm talking to you now, after you already decided. She sighed like I was exhausting her. Why do you always have to make things so complicated? I'm not making anything complicated. I'm telling you what he wants. And I'm telling you what's practical. She pulled out her phone and showed me a brochure. Some upscale senior living place with a name like Sunrise Meadows or something equally generic. He'll hate this, I said. He'll adjust. Renata, he told me he wants to die in his house. She flinched. Just barely. Don't be dramatic. I'm not. That's what he said. Well, he's not thinking clearly. Yes, he is. He's dying, not senile. She put her phone away. I'm going to talk to his doctor. He already talked to his doctor. They agreed. Hospice at home. We'll see, she said. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about Arthur's care. This was about control. Arthur died at home, like he wanted. I was there. So was the hospice nurse. Renata wasn't. She'd gone back to her city for a work emergency the week before. My parents were on a cruise. They'd booked it months earlier and decided not to cancel because Arthur wouldn't want us to put our lives on hold. So it was just me and him at the end. He squeezed my hand, looked me in the eye and said, "You're stronger than they think." Then he was gone. The funeral was a performance. My Renata wore black Chanel and cried beautifully. My mother gave a speech about how much Arthur meant to the family. My father shook hands and accepted condolences like a politician. I stood in the back and said nothing. Afterwards, Renata approached me. "We need to talk about the estate," she said. Not, "How are you holding up?" or "Thank you for being there." Just business. Okay, I said. I think it makes sense for me to handle things. I have experience with financial management, and— He had a will, I interrupted. She paused. I'm aware. Then we follow the will. Of course. I'm just saying it would be easier if one person coordinated everything. And since I have the background, we'll follow the will, I repeated. Her smile tightened. You don't trust me? I trust the will. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she walked away. The will was read 2 weeks later. Arthur's lawyer, a man named Gerald Portman, sat us all down in his office. Renata had brought a notebook. My parents sat on either side of her. I sat alone on the opposite side of the table. Gerald cleared his throat. Arthur Brennan's estate is relatively straightforward, he began. The house, the accounts, and the personal property are to be divided equally between his 2 granddaughters, Renata and Jessa. Renata's pen froze mid-note. Equally? My mother said. Yes, Gerald confirmed. My father frowned. What about the concerns Arthur expressed? About Jessa's stability? I went cold. Gerald looked confused. I'm not aware of any such concerns. He mentioned it to us, my father said, multiple times. He was worried about her making impulsive decisions. That's not reflected in any documentation I have, Gerald said carefully. Renata leaned forward. Is there any way to contest the distribution? If there are concerns about competency. Competency of whom? Gerald asked. Of Jessa, Renata said, like it was obvious. I couldn't breathe. Gerald looked at me, then back at Renata. Arthur was very clear about his wishes. Unless there's evidence of undue influence or incapacity at the time of signing, the will stands as written. What would constitute evidence of undue influence? My mother asked. I stood up. Are you seriously doing this right now? My voice shook. Renata didn't even look at me. We're just asking questions. No, you're trying to find a way to cut me out. Don't be paranoid, my father said. Paranoid? I laughed, sharp, bitter. You just asked his lawyer how to prove I manipulated him. We're protecting the estate, my mother said. From me. No one answered. I grabbed my bag. I'm done. Gerald stood. Jessa, we still need to— Send me the paperwork, I said. I'll sign whatever I need to sign, But I'm not sitting here and listening to this. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Renata say, "See? Emotional. Just like I said." 3 weeks later, I got served. A process server showed up at my apartment and handed me a legal filing. Renata was suing me for full control of the estate. The grounds: undue influence, manipulation, and emotional exploitation of a vulnerable elderly man. I read it 3 times, hands shaking. She was claiming I'd isolated Arthur from the family, that I'd poisoned him against them, that I'd coerced him into leaving me half of everything. It was fiction, but it was fiction on legal letterhead. I hired a lawyer, a woman named Claudia Serrano. She read the filing, expressionless. Then she said, "This is going to get ugly." How ugly? "They're going for emergency control. If the judge grants it, you'll be locked out of everything: accounts, property, decisions. You'll have no access until the case is resolved." Can they do that? If they convince the judge you're a threat to the estate? Yes. I felt sick. What do I do? "Show up," Claudia said. "Bring documentation. Prove you weren't manipulating him." I wasn't. I believe you. But belief doesn't win court cases. Evidence does. Which brings me back to the courtroom. The judge is waiting for my answer. Does the respondent wish to object to this petition? I stand. My legs feel unsteady. "Yes, Your Honor, I object." Renata's lawyer, a sharp-dressed man named Victor Chen, stands immediately. "Your Honor, the petitioner has grave concerns about the respondent's fitness to manage these assets. Ms. Jessa Brennan has a documented history of impulsive behavior, financial instability, and—" "Objection," Claudia cuts in. "Counsel is characterizing my client without evidence." "Sustained," the judge says. "Mr. Chen, stick to facts." Victor doesn't miss a beat. The facts are these. Ms. Jessa Brennan isolated the deceased from his family during the final years of his life. She controlled access to him, influenced his medical decisions, and positioned herself as his primary caretaker, despite having no medical training or legal authority. I want to scream that I was the only one who showed up, but Claudia touches my arm. "Stay quiet," Victor continues. "The petitioner, Ms. Renata Brennan, is a certified financial advisor with over a decade of experience in estate management. She is eminently qualified to oversee these assets and ensure they're managed responsibly." He makes it sound so reasonable. My mother nods from the gallery. My father looks solemn, like this is all very sad but necessary. Renata sits perfectly still, the picture of competence. And I'm the unstable one. The judge looks at me. "Ms. Brennan, do you have a response?" Claudia stands. "Your Honor, my client was not isolating the deceased. She was caring for him, at his request. She has documentation of his medical directives, correspondence, and—" "Documentation can be fabricated," Victor interrupts. "Mr. Chen," the judge warns. "But the damage is done. The room has shifted. I can feel it." Victor presses. "Your Honor, given the sensitive nature of these assets and the clear concerns about Ms. Jessa Brennan's decision-making, we request emergency authority be granted today. Every day that passes is a day these assets are at risk." The judge looks at the paperwork in front of him. He's considering it. I can't breathe. If he grants this, I lose everything. The house, the accounts, the last piece of Arthur I have left. Claudia leans toward me and whispers, "Do you have anything else? Anything that proves his intent?" I shake my head. She closes her eyes briefly. The judge speaks. "This is a serious request. I'm inclined to—" "Your Honor," I blurt out, "there's one more party." Everyone stops. The judge frowns. "Excuse me? There's one more party who should be here. Before you make this decision." Victor stands immediately. "Your Honor, this is a delay tactic." "Who?" the judge asks me. I need to make a call." Renata actually laughs, out loud, in court. My father mutters something I can't hear, but I catch the word embarrassing. The judge's expression hardens. "Ms. Brennan, this is probate court, not theater. If you're stalling, I will hold you in contempt. I'm not stalling, I say, voice shaking. There's someone who needs to be here. Who? The judge repeats. I don't know how to answer. Because the truth is, I'm hoping, praying, that Arthur's lawyer filed something I don't know about. Some backup plan. But I don't know for sure. The judge is about to speak when the courtroom doors open. A man walks in. He's maybe 50, plain black suit, no expression. He moves with the kind of calm that comes from doing this 1,000 times. He doesn't look at my family, doesn't look at me. He walks straight to the clerk and hands her an envelope. Then he turns to the judge. Your Honor, he says, voice flat and professional. I'm here on behalf of the trustee. The judge freezes. Actually freezes, hand halfway to his gavel. The trustee? He repeats. Yes, Your Honor. The courtroom is dead silent. Renata straightens in her seat, suddenly alert. My mother and father exchange a glance. Victor Chen looks confused. The clerk opens the envelope, scans the first page, and her eyebrows rise. She hands it to the judge. He reads the sender line once. Then again. His entire demeanor changes. When was this filed? He asks. 14 months ago, the man says. It became irrevocable upon Mr. Arthur Brennan's death. The judge looks at Victor. Counselor, were you aware of this? Victor's face is carefully blank. I'd need to see the document, too. The judge slides it across the bench. Victor reads it. His jaw tightens. Renata leans over. What is it? He doesn't answer. The judge speaks, voice measured. It appears that the bulk of Arthur Brennan's estate was placed into a revocable trust prior to his death. Upon his death, that trust became irrevocable. What does that mean? My mother asks from the gallery. The judge ignores her. Which means, Mr. Chen, that your client's petition is targeting assets that are not under probate jurisdiction. The room tilts. Victor recovers quickly. Your Honor, we weren't provided notice of any trust. The trust documentation was sent to your office 3 weeks ago, the man in the black suit says. Certified mail, signature on file. Victor's face goes pale. The judge's eyes narrow. Is that true, Mr. Chen? Victor looks at Renata. She's staring straight ahead, frozen. Your Honor, Victor says slowly, I'd like to request a recess to review. Who is the trustee? The judge asks. The man in the black suit answers. Beacon Fiduciary Services, a corporate trustee licensed in this state. Not family. Not someone Renata can manipulate or pressure or charm. A corporation. The judge sits back. Mr. Chen, your client is suing for control of assets she has no legal claim to. That's not, Victor starts. The trust controls the house, the accounts, and the investments. The man continues. Probate controls personal effects and items not titled to the trust, approximately 8% of the total estate value. 8%. Renata is suing me for 8%. My mother stands. This is absurd. Arthur would never— Ma'am, sit down, the judge says sharply. She sits. Renata finally speaks. He was confused. He didn't understand what he was signing. The man in the black suit reaches into his briefcase and pulls out another folder. We anticipated this argument, he says calmly. He hands documents to the clerk. Execution affidavits from 2 witnesses, neither of whom are beneficiaries. Certification from Mr. Brennan's personal attorney. Medical evaluation from his physician dated 1 week prior to signing, confirming full cognitive capacity. He places each document on the bench like he's laying down cards in a poker game. Mr. Brennan executed this trust knowingly, voluntarily, and with full understanding of its implications. The judge reviews the papers. The silence stretches. Then the judge reaches a highlighted section and stops. He reads it once, twice. There's a no contest clause, he says. The man nods. Yes, Your Honor. What's a no contest clause? My father asks. No one answers him. The judge reads it aloud. Any beneficiary who contests this trust or attempts to seize trust assets through legal action shall forfeit their entire inheritance and receive nothing. The room goes completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Renata's face drains of color. The judge looks at Victor. When did your office receive the trust documents? Victor doesn't answer. Mr. Chen? The judge says, voice hardening. When did you receive them? 3 weeks ago, Victor says quietly. And you filed this petition 2 weeks ago. Yes. Knowing about the no contest clause. Victor swallows. We believed we had grounds to challenge the trust's validity based on... Does the filing of this motion constitute a contest? The judge asks the man in the black suit. Yes, Your Honor. The trust language is explicit. Any attempt to seize trust assets, through litigation or otherwise, triggers forfeiture. The judge looks at Renata. She's not smirking anymore. My mother is gripping the bench in front of her, knuckles white. My father won't look up. Your Honor, Renata says, voice shaking now. I didn't know. Your attorney knew, the judge says. But I didn't understand. That's why you hire attorneys, Ms. Brennan, to understand. She tries to speak again. The judge holds up a hand. Does the petitioner wish to withdraw the motion? Renata looks at Victor desperately. He leans over and whispers something to her. Her face crumples. Too late. The motion's already filed. The contest already made. Victor stands. Your Honor, my client wishes to... change tactics? The judge finishes. I thought she might. Renata's voice rises, panicked now. He was abused. She isolated him. She manipulated him. She... Ms. Brennan, the judge says sharply, you're accusing your sister of elder abuse? Yes, Renata says. Yes. She controlled everything. She turned him against us. She... Do you have evidence? Renata falters. We have witnesses. Family members who saw... Medical reports? The judge asks. Police reports? Adult Protective Services investigations? Silence. Counselor? The judge looks at Victor. Victor stands slowly. We have testimony from family members who observed concerning behavior. Names, the judge says. Victor pulls out a list. Eleanor Brennan, aunt to the deceased. Marcus Brennan, cousin. Patricia Drummond, family friend. How often did these individuals see Mr. Brennan in his final year? The judge asks. Victor hesitates. The man in the black suit speaks again. If I may, Your Honor? The judge nods. The man pulls out yet another document. Mr. Brennan kept a visitor log for the last 18 months of his life, at the recommendation of his physician, to track social engagement. He hands it to the clerk. Eleanor Brennan visited twice. Marcus Brennan visited once, for approximately 30 minutes, during which he asked Mr. Brennan to co-sign a car loan. Patricia Drummond has not visited in over 4 years. Renata's witnesses just evaporated. Victor tries again. Your Honor, regardless of visit frequency, these individuals observed troubling signs. Based on what? The judge asks. Phone calls? Hearsay? The man in the black suit interrupts gently. Your Honor, Mr. Brennan anticipated these exact accusations. Everyone goes still. He left a written statement, the man continues, notarized, dated 2 months before his death, specifically addressing concerns about undue influence. He hands another document to the clerk. The judge takes it and begins reading aloud. To whom it may concern, I am writing this of my own free will, while of sound mind and body, to address accusations I anticipate will be made after my death. My granddaughter Jessa has been my primary caretaker for the past 3 years. This was my choice. She did not ask for this role. She did not manipulate me into it. She simply showed up. My granddaughter Renata and my son-in-law Gerald have made repeated attempts to move me into a care facility against my wishes. They have pressured me to sign financial documents I did not want to sign. They have suggested I am not capable of managing my own affairs. On the evening of September 14th, I called emergency services myself because Gerald became aggressive when I refused to sign a power of attorney form. The responding officer can confirm this. Case number 2024-09-8471. The judge stops reading. He looks directly at my father. My father is staring at the floor. Though the judge continues, I have placed the majority of my estate in trust to protect it from interference. I have named Jessa and Renata as equal beneficiaries because I do not wish to choose between my granddaughters. However, I have included a no contest clause because I know my family. I know they will try to challenge this. I know they will claim Jessa manipulated me. If they make these accusations, they are projecting their own behavior onto her. She is guilty of only one thing, caring about me more than my money. Signed, Arthur Brennan. The silence is deafening. My mother is crying, actual tears. My father still won't look up. Renata is shaking. Victor starts to speak. Your Honor, this statement is notarized, the judge interrupts, by a licensed notary public, with 2 witnesses present. Do you have any evidence to refute its authenticity? No, but then I'm dismissing the elder abuse allegations, the judge says. They are unsupported, inflammatory, and appear to be retaliatory. He looks at Renata. Your motion for emergency control is denied. Renata's face twists. This isn't fair. What's not fair, the judge says, voice cold now, is filing a baseless lawsuit against your sister to steal an inheritance your grandfather deliberately protected from this exact behavior. Victor tries to salvage it. Your Honor, if we could just... We're done, Mr. Chen. In fact, I'm considering sanctions for filing a petition you knew violated a no contest clause. Victor goes pale. The man in the black suit speaks. Your Honor, the trust requests protective orders, preventing the family from contacting financial institutions, the trustee, or any third parties regarding the estate. Granted, the judge says immediately. Renata stands. You can't. Sit down. The judge's voice is ice. She sits. This court is in recess, the judge says. I'll issue a written ruling within 48 hours. But let me be clear. The trust stands. The no contest clause is enforceable, and if I see any further attempts to circumvent these protections, I will hold the offending parties in contempt. He bangs the gavel. It's over. I'm standing outside the courtroom, shaking. Claudia is next to me, looking stunned. Did that just happen? I whisper. Yes, she says. That just happened. The man in the black suit approaches. Up close, he's less intimidating. Just tired. Ms. Brennan, he says. I'm Robert Malik. I represent Beacon Fiduciary. I shake his hand. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank your grandfather. He planned for every possible scenario. I didn't know about the trust, I admit. He didn't want you to. He thought it would make you a target. Robert glances back toward the courtroom. He was right. Claudia checks her phone. We should go, before they come out. But it's too late. The courtroom doors open. Renata walks out first. Her face is blotchy, makeup smudged. When she sees me, she stops. For a moment, I think she's going to say something. Apologize, maybe. Instead, she turns her phone face down. Too deliberately. Claudia notices. Robert notices. Interesting, Robert murmurs. We walk away. 20 minutes later, Robert's phone buzzes. He reads the alert and his expression darkens. What? I ask. Blocked login attempt on one of the trust accounts, he says. 15 minutes ago. My stomach drops. From who? He shows me the screen. The device ID matches Renata's phone. She tried to access the accounts? Claudia says, incredulous. Not just access, Robert says, scrolling. She attempted to change the phone number on file, probably to intercept security codes. Can she do that? I ask. No, the system flagged it immediately. He's already typing, but the attempt itself is enough. Enough for what? He looks up. To trigger the fraud protocols and to confirm the no contest clause violation. Within an hour, the trustee has filed a supplemental report with the court. By the end of the day, All trust distributions are frozen pending investigation. Renata's lawyer calls Claudia, panicking, trying to claim it was a misunderstanding. But the logs don't lie. Device IDIP address, your timestamp. All of it points to Renata. 3 weeks later, we're back in court. This time, it's a sanctions hearing. Victor Chen looks like he hasn't slept. He apologizes to the judge, profusely. My client acted emotionally and without consulting me, he says. She regrets getting caught, the judge interrupts. Renata sits silently, staring at the table. The judge imposes $15,000 in sanctions, plus attorney's fees. Then, he confirms what Robert already told me. The no contest clause has been officially triggered. Renata gets nothing. My mother gasps from the gallery. My father closes his eyes. The judge turns to them. Mr. and Mrs. Brennan, he says, I strongly suggest you refrain from any further involvement in this matter. Your daughter's actions have been documented. Any additional interference will result in contempt charges. They don't respond. The judge looks at me. Ms. Jessa Brennan, the trust will proceed with distributions as outlined in the original documents. You are the sole remaining beneficiary. I nod. I don't feel victorious. I just feel tired. 2 months later, I receive the first distribution. It's not dramatic. Just a wire transfer notification on my phone. I sit in my apartment, staring at the number on the screen. It's more money than I've ever seen in my life, but it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like proof. Proof that Arthur knew. Proof that he saw this coming. Proof that he loved me enough to protect me, even after he was gone. I don't hear from Renata after that, or my parents. The family group chat goes quiet. Eventually, I leave it. No, Claudia helps me set up a trust of my own, to manage the assets responsibly. Robert sends me a final letter from Arthur, one he'd left with the trustee, to be delivered after everything was settled. It's short. Jessa, if you're reading this, it means they tried exactly what I thought they'd try. I'm sorry you had to go through it, but I'm not sorry I protected you. You were the only one who cared about me, not my money. That's why you get to keep it. Use it well. Live your life. Don't let them make you feel guilty. You earned this by being a decent human being. Love, Grandpa. I fold the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Arthur's house, my house now. I've kept it mostly the same. Same furniture, same photos on the walls. But I've made it mine too. There's a new bookshelf. A reading chair by the window. It's quiet, peaceful. I think Arthur would like it. The lesson I learned wasn't about money. It was about people. Some people love you for who you are. Some people love you for what you have. And some people don't love you at all. They just love the idea of you fitting into their story. Renata wanted a narrative where she was the responsible one, the deserving one, and I was supposed to accept that. But Arthur didn't accept it. He saw the truth, and he wrote it down. Because when people try to erase you with a story, you don't fight back with emotion. You don't scream or argue or beg them to see your side. You let the paperwork speak. You let the legal documents stand. You let the notarized truth do the work. And you walk away knowing that proof beats performance. Every single time.